Hey, y'all, I'm just gonna have to warn you. I think this live is gonna be a little bit hazy because when I did the scheduling, it selected webcam. And so my webcam is not as like clear as my phone. So I'll be able to look at when the replay goes live to see if from now on I just do it on my phone. But with that said, let's go ahead and get into this. Welcome to Freedom Please channel and essenceofme.com. I am on for my weekly live. Y'all, low key, I'm not even 100% ready for today. So I'm keeping it a buck because I did something that haven't done and I try not to do, which is I was writing today. I try my best to take Sundays off, but today I just was so inspired after what I worked on this past week. So with that said, I'm gonna do an update on my personal curriculum because I had a really great class this week, and then I'm gonna get to whatever it is that I decide to do. If we have a quiet bunch, y'all, I'm not even gonna lie, I might dip out. Oh, but happy Valentine's Day. I hope you had a great Valentine's Day. Are you a person that you you celebrate Valentine's, like you like to go out and do stuff or like to, you know, have a night out or dinner with your boo? Or are you just like, nah, that ain't for me? Let me know in the comments. And then I'm going to share what I had going on this week. So, if you're here and you're working on something, let me know in the chat what you're working on. And I don't know why this thing is buckling. Oh, I see why. Let me know what you're working on. And then, yeah, if I miss you, I will definitely come back and look at the comments later. And yeah, let me share what I got. First of all, y'all, I'm over here struggling because I was working on my plans for the week. On Sundays, I like to do my plans for the week. So I sort of lay out like my big blocks that I know I need to do so that I won't forget. And let me grab I keep all my paintings for the class in this box. It makes it so much easier. Okay, first of all, y'all, I had a really, really, really good painting session. Or at least I thought it was. I think so. Let me show you what I worked on this week. And I see my progress. I cannot say that I like it any more or less per se. Y'all, this thing is so grainy. I wish it was better. I apologize. Here they are. This is what I worked on this week. Look at me. And this one, y'all, I was winging it on this one. She started doing stuff. I was behind and I was tired because I had a really long week at this week. We had boot camp this week. So that meant I had a lot of coaching hours. So I was exhausted, but I did not miss my class. I did go to class and I had a great time and my painting showed it. Okay. The other thing that I worked on, I did not grab it. Oh, can I, y'all? Okay, can I grab it? Let me go grab it. Y'all, listen. I'm just gonna warn y'all. I have on shorts. Okay, I have on shorts. Okay, let me get it. The pages were warped, so thanks, babe. The pages were warped, so I had them sitting underneath. Sorry, something heavy to sort of take out the buckle, and it worked. Okay, so I worked. Let me change you. Y'all, I'm so sorry that this feels grainy. I gotta see what this looks like on my phone. Um, okay, so I decided to work on some backgrounds. Hey, um, when I oh, and I can see the chats on here though. That's so much better. Okay. I decided to work on some backgrounds, and I have a studio vlog coming up of how I used ChatGPT to help me work on the backgrounds. So I'll show you what I created. And I'm using these backgrounds and I'm turning them into affirmation cards. I wanted to put some of my favorite scriptures on cards. So here's one. Y'all, I really have to see if it's as grainy as it looks. If it is, I wonder if can I see it on my phone? If I look on my phone, I don't know if it'll let me. Let's see, y'all. I'm trying.
Let's see, y'all. I'm
I'm sorry.
trying.
Well, it's not super bad. It's just not really as clear as I'd like. Let me give us some more light and see if that'll make it a little bit better. Okay, so here we go. So here's one. And all of these were just me sort of like doing it. This is one of my favorite ones. Okay, this is another one that I really like. I had a whole day yesterday just to paint. It was a long week, and that was my reward. I have a rule that you don't wait for the world to reward you, reward yourself. Here's another one that I really like. And then this is the final one. And I had paper between them. What I'm going to do after this is I'll spray the bags down. Actually, I'm going to do it while we talk. Okay. Okay. So I worked on this and I had a long week because wait, this is the time to grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab your project. I'm going to spray these down so that I can lay them out flat again so I can make sure there's no more buckle or at least take the rest of the buckle out of them because I want to paint on the back. I want to turn these into affirmation cards and I'm going to spritz them with water and then I'm going to put paper in between each layer and then I'm going to put them underneath something heavy. So that's the plan. So with that said, this week I'll tell you about my work week, but first I want to talk about my quilting. Y'all, I finished. I hope I don't get too much water on here. I'm going to mist them with water and then I'm going to lay them flat. Yeah, I've never done this before. I've only heard about it, and I guess at the end of the day, I'm going to learn today. Okay, I'm going to learn today. So I had a long week, and I decided yesterday that I was going to use it to paint. And what I did was I found a class that I really liked that was affordable. And what I did was I had it prepped. It was ready to go. I really wonder why I can't just put them back to back. I'm hoping this doesn't like bleed with this paper because my paper has words on them. Like I use old paper. Like whenever I work on a story, I like to print and read my story on paper. And this is just a bottle of water in an old elf setting spray bottle. I have a new bottle, but I just haven't done it. I use distilled water whenever I'm painting. And so, yeah. Okay. So, anyways, this week we had a boot camp, and that meant that every day I was doing live coaching, and the student was submitting the revisions and the changes to her outline, which means we were staying up later than normal because I needed to do her feedback for the live coaching session. And being on like that honestly exhausts me in the best kind of way, but it's exhausting. So what I did was I found a class that was affordable and that I wanted to do, and that sort of felt like something that would be pretty easy and straightforward. And I signed up for it. It was like maybe like $30. I signed up for it and I started it and it was going really good. And then the instructor, she had this sort of thing that looked like a mood board. And it was so cool, but she didn't show how to do it in the class. Okay, y'all, spoiler alert. What I'm talking about right now, I did do like a little vlog of it and it will go up on my channel this week. Okay, so I'm telling you how to do it, but when I post the video, you'll see exactly what I did, like how I used ChatGPT to help me. And and so what I did was I was starting on the class, and y'all, I realized with watercolor, I don't know nothing. Like I know some stuff, but the stuff I know is still percolating. And um y'all, I'm gonna get up one more time. Okay. So just remember I'm at home, y'all. I'm in shorts. Okay. I'm in shorts and a sweatshirt. We listen and we don't judge. So I'm gonna put this under something heavy. I have these big like paper containers that I use to store like all my journaling stuff in, and they're nice and heavy and they're bigger than the actual page because I think they're 9 by 12. So it makes the weight distributed evenly. So that's what I did. So I signed up for the class. I was looking at the class and everything. She did this thing that was a part of a spread, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool." But she didn't talk about how to do it. So I took a picture of it and I shared it with ChatGPT. Y'all, I'm gonna open it up because I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint today, so that I don't have to get up. It's been a long day because I was writing. And then I'll also tell you about my quilting. And so I'm opening up. This is my handmade watercolor journal, and I've been creating some simple, like some what do you want to call these? I've just kind of been just drawing some random shapes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint these, I guess. I don't know what I'm going to do. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready, so I apologize. I'm going to erase the some of the pencil lines before I put the watercolor on there. So I did the class and I went through, and what I usually do whenever I'm taking a new class is I will watch all of the videos just to get an understanding of what I'm about to do. This is a kneaded eraser, and I'm going to just erase some of the lines because once you put the watercolor down, um, it will lock the pencil in. Also, this eraser, because it does like it's like a squishy eraser, it also helps to keep the integrity of the paper because it doesn't like when you normally use an eraser, you know how you have those eraser shavings? It doesn't have that. Low key, I really feel like what I want to do is I want to use, I have a pencil, a Stabilo pencil, and I love it because it is water soluble, but it will still have the outline. So it sort of looks like a dark ring. But I'm gonna I'm gonna do this and talk. So I took the class. I watched the class while I was sort of closing out my day. I had to do like my follow up notes and the recording and like all of the more logistic stuff. So while I was doing the logistic stuff, I just sort of ran the class in the background, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be so much fun." So I started on the class. I found this lady on YouTube, and she has some pretty interesting classes. Most of her classes look like they're geared towards mixed media, but the reason why I wanted to do it is because I wanted to learn how to do the affirmation cards. I know how to do like general affirmation cards, but I wanted to see how she did like the backgrounds and how she put it together. And being that it was like 30 bucks, okay, I'm going to tell you my rule of thumb. My rule of thumb is if you can sign up for a class. Okay, I'm gonna back up. Okay, so let's say, for example, just say to yourself how much you make an hour. Okay. Everybody makes a different amount, per hour. Yeah, what I'm doing is I'm gonna erase them a little bit. You can see them. See, I've erased the ones at the bottom, and I'm going to do the what's it called? Stabilo pencil back in place of where it was because these are really faint and I need actual lines because I don't know how to keep it steady. So figure out how much y'all, I have all kind of stuff going on in the background. We just going to have to deal with it. Okay. Figure out how much you make an hour. And when you figure, is this the right one? Yeah, but this thing doesn't erase, but it's water soluble. It's so weird. Okay, so I got to be real careful because I always trace really well. That means I have to like focus. Okay. Figure out how much you make an hour. And when you figure out how much you make an hour, let's say, for example, you make 10 bucks an hour, just because the math is easy to do. If it would take you, let's say, if you wanted to learn how to do something and it'll take you, let's say, 10 hours to learn how to do it, like to do the Google search, to maybe even do ChatGPT if you decide to, if you like it or not, do your own thing. And to read the information, or if you're like me, I like to still get books to learn how to do stuff and read about it. You go buy the book, the time it takes to drive there, the gas, if you normally go get you a coffee, add everything up. So let's say, for example, by the time you add that all up, let's say you're at 100 bucks. And if you're at 100 bucks, what I like to do is I'll say, okay, that's my budget or less to be able to learn how to do something, take a class that's cohesive, whether you decide to do a class on, like, I love Domestica. There's classes on, Craftsy. There are classes on people on YouTube that do like a $27 class, a $37 class. Sometimes, if you catch the right Facebook ad, it's a $17, something. Now, some of them are not that good. I usually will make sure that I go back to people that I've taken their classes before. This is what I'm doing. See, I've done their classes before, and I learn something, and they do a great job. Maybe they do a median that I know I like. I also like looking for people where they do a great job of giving alternatives on the supplies that you need because I don't want to have to go buy supplies. I want to use the stuff that I have. And so if you would normally doing it on your own, it would cost you like $100. Now, granted, you're not paying that $100, but you're paying that $100 in time, right? Yeah, my husband brought coffee and I smell it, but I can't see it. Okay, I found it. He brought coffee. Hold on. Oh, and it's super hot and good. Okay. And so $100 is what you are expending. You are spending, right? And then, so what I will do is I will go and I will look for a class that is less than $100. And sometimes you can say, but um, Google, I was about to say Gmail. Google is free. Well, in reality, Google's not free because you pay for that too, right? You pay for internet, but okay, Google is free. But the reality is, we all know, just like if you were to come on to YouTube and you would go look for a class or look for a tutorial, that stuff ain't always what you need. The people, you, I know. Listen, I give classes. Even if you give a free class, you want to give information, but we know how that goes. We know how it goes. So the point is, if I can find someone that has a class that I can trust and they have good reviews, or I've taken classes with them before and I like their teaching style that'll teach me something that I want to learn, then I'll take the class. Because instead of me doing all of that Googling, all of that searching, and all of that, I paid that woman $27. She taught me the class. Bada boom, bada bing. We all win. Okay, so this is what I'm doing, y'all. Now, the Stabilo is dark, but it dissolves, which is weird, is because it doesn't erase, but it does dissolve. So I got to erase some more and draw some more. So I took her class and I took the picture, and I got to do this one at a time because this thing erases like almost too well. You know what I should do? I should do this line and then go back and erase, since I know that the Stabilo won't erase. That's what I'll do, because it erases too well, like I can't see. Um, so I took her class, and what I end up doing was turning the other portion of the class into my own class. That's when it got real good. I watched what she did, um and then I saw an opportunity to expand. So what I mean by that is, this goes really, I think, hand in hand with the personal curriculum sort of talk. Again, if you've been to the lives, I've talked about this, but if you I don't want to explain that same thing every time, but in that, you're teaching yourself something that you've always wanted to learn, or you're building a new skill set. And what I do, even when I took that class, is I used it as a springboard to be able to learn how. Hold on, I'm sorry. I just realized I don't have a pencil sharpener over here. But I have another one because my pencil sharpener's over there. I don't want to have to keep getting up on y'all. Um, an opportunity to expand. So she taught me the basic. And then what happened, because I'm still so new at watercolor, she said some words that I was unfamiliar with. Now, listen, I'm talking about watercolor, but you can do this with anything. And this is why I recorded the studio vlog. It'll go up this week. I think either this week or next week. Um, and so what I did was I took down the terms that she talked about, because the class taught me the one thing that I wanted to learn, which was to start the process of making affirmation cards. But when she was delivering it, some of the techniques that she was doing were new to me techniques, and she didn't explain that. And so I need to put something under here. And so that's when I started writing down, because that's too high, the different terms. I wrote down um, different techniques. And even though I was following along and I was executing the techniques, I didn't know what it was called. So I'll give an example. I was doing one, once I went into my sort of deep dive a little bit, I was doing this one technique, and it's called, well, it wasn't called that. Eventually, I learned that it was what happens whenever a paint is granulated. And when I am in my normal class, she talks about how much she loves granulated paints and all of this stuff. I didn't know what that woman was talking about. I'm just painting and following along. But when I was doing this self sort of deep dive yesterday, I was painting, and I promise you, it looked like the paint was dancing on the page, like almost like it was glitter or something. And I kept looking at the paint. I was like, does this paint have glitter in it? Because I'd never seen it do that before. And sure enough, because I wasn't overworking it and I had enough water, thanks to ChatGPT. My ChatGPT, his name is Ash. So if I say Ash, you know who I'm talking about. So thanks to Ash, he was like, "Oh, that's granulated. That's what," and I was like, "Oh, that's what she meant all of those times I heard her talking about it." And it was so beautiful. It made it feel like magic. And what's so funny, in our house, we had, well, what I called the black girl the black girl hair care rules. And one of the black girl hair care rules in our house was that we don't play with glitter. Glitter is not good for our hair. So we didn't ever really have glitter in our house. So to be able to do that painting and have it like look like glitter and it just reminded me of pixie dust. Y'all, it was so cool. Okay, this one is dead. I'm gonna go with the next one. I'm trying to make sure I don't pick up the wrong thing because this thing is super dark. It's super dark. But it's so dark that I don't have to take away the pencil, I don't think. So I'm going to keep going. And so with that said, I what I did was I wrote down the stuff that she mentioned that I was unfamiliar with, or the terms, and I put the terms into my chat, and I created a project plan for myself. And again, I'm gonna do like it's a tutorial kind of. It's not a tutorial, but it's like a work with me sort of video that will come up in the next week or so. And so that's what I did, and I learned so much, and that's how I made all of those pages. And so I learned a few things about my, I think, aesthetic is what I would say, because I realized that a lot of those techniques in the process, I don't like. I don't like, not because it's not pretty or because it doesn't turn into something really nice, but because my normal life is pretty busy. And when I sit down to do stuff like this, I like to just go. And y'all know, if you've been here a while, if you have, welcome back. If you're new, hey girl, hey. But that I love to wing it. And a lot of times people think my wing it mentality, as I call it, is due to rebellion. And it might be a little bit. It might be a little bit. But for real, what it is is the fact that I don't get a lot of time to craft. So when I do, I like to craft. I don't want to be sitting up here switching supplies, doing all this stuff, step 1, step 2, step 75. Like, if it gets to doing all of that, I'm out because I have so many other things that I could be doing. Y'all, it's done. And what I'm gonna do is go back where I can still see pencil because I did not follow the lines exactly. And I'm gonna erase the pencil and then I can start getting my paints. So that's what happened. Y'all, it turned into, I did it Friday night. And then I did the actual painting yesterday for half a day because I gave myself a craft weekend and still ended up writing today, but that's neither here nor there. I had a really great writing session. Um, and so I um Did my little impromptu yesterday, and it turned into half a day before the rest of the day. I ended it in my studio working on my reg quilt. And in the end, I absolutely loved it. I feel like I'm starting to learn my aesthetic, and I stumbled on something, at least it was a stumble for me, because I was getting frustrated. I was getting frustrated because I didn't like it, basically. But what was so interesting was that I didn't like it when I looked at it, but once it dried and I came back and I looked at it once it was dry, I liked it. I was like, "Okay." So it was like this lesson of trust the process. And again, I was, oh, I gotta be careful because some of it lifts just a little bit. Okay, I'm ready to paint. And so it was like, trust the process and, let's see it through. But I did realize like there are some things that I really just don't care for. And some of the sort of art supplies that I have, I'm going to find ways to use them. But the way that I tried it this weekend, I didn't really care for. Because at some time I was in a, I was in a art, it was a, I'm gonna call it an art club. It really wasn't called that. It was called something else, and I can't remember the name. But I was in this art club, and being a part of the club meant that you received um, you received art supplies, like a goodie box every month. And what usually happens if you've ever been a part of those, boxes, is that you end up getting all these supplies that you may or may not need. What I'm about to do right now is I'm going to set myself up. I'm going to paint that thing that you saw. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these paints because it's easy, and I'm setting up everything. I'll I'll walk through what I use um once I figure out what I'm going to use. Okay. And I'm also putting back all of my planning stuff because my desk right now is a little bit of a mess. So, um, I have all of these supplies that I got in those boxes that we used it once, but I don't really know how to use it, like how they work. So what I did as a part of my experiment, if you will, was I told ChatGPT what supplies I had. And what it did was recommended like how I could use those supplies to see how they worked on the page. And that turned out beautifully, even though in the end I realized that there are several of them I didn't really care for. I think I will ultimately use them, but I got to find out a way to use it that makes sense to me. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is setting up. You normally have a cup of fresh water and a mug or whatever of to clean your brush. I like using this mug to clean my brush. I find that I like this texture. I don't know why, I just do. And then my clean water is in a mason jar. And so I'm going to use that. And for my brushes, I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use, I don't know yet because some of these spaces are big and some of them are small. And I found that I really like using flat brushes. So I'm gonna do, I was looking for another one. Oh, I have it. I cleaned my brushes yesterday and then I put them back and I don't see what I'm looking for. Okay, I think I'm gonna just have to use these because I feel like I'm looking for another one and I can't see it. Okay, So what I did was I put the supplies in ChatGPT that I had, and he recommended ways that I could put it into that art practice. And so that's what I did. Oh, here we go. So these are the brushes I'm going to use. Hold on. I'll name each one of them in just a second. Tip, make sure you don't put your coffee near your fresh water or your dirty water, or your brush will go straight into your coffee. Ask me how I know. Okay. And oh, I need to put some water in this one. Y'all, my table, I usually have this jar to be able to fill up my dirty water, and it's just tap water. I refill it every time with some fresh water after I clean my brushes, and I just keep it on a mason jar. And every time, well, not every time, like every couple of days, I'll just refresh in everything so that I can quickly sit and just work and not have to go get water or go get this or go get that, that everything is right here. Okay, here are the paint colors. I love this paint set. Um, y'all, if I was prepared, this would go so much smoother. But you know what? It's all good because that's why we're here. I'm going to show you oh, you know what? I don't have to. I did the swatch. Here are the colors here. And for this, I'm just going to use all of them, I think. I could be telling a story. I may get started and change my mind. But I do like opening my swatch book so I can see the colors on the page. So I'm going to get that. And here it is. Um, I also have a towel. This is I think it's like a tea towel. And I normally will either spritz everything or I will use my dropper. And what I'm going to do for today, because I think I want to just use teals and this purple, I don't know. So for those colors, I'm going to use the dropper. I'll do like 2 or 3 drops in those colors, and then that I think I'm going to use. And I'm just going to do like the teals and maybe this green. Y'all, I'm finding this yellow combination. I just love it. And I'm not even really a yellow person, but I just really like it. Okay. So I'll put a couple of drops in each one. And then just to be on the safe side, I'm going to spritz everything. Trying not to just totally, you know what? This may be the reason why I don't like this water, because this water goes everywhere because it's meant to mist your face. I just wet everything down, and then I'm just drying to make sure there's no water. And then the final thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use this little flower. I find that I like mixing in porcelain or ceramic more than I like plastic. So I'm going to just put this right here. Y'all, I'm trying to set up everything. And I'm going to slide you back so I have room. And because I wasn't ready, literally. Okay, now I am the, and I have to be really careful because I like using a lot of water and I can get a little bit messy. Okay, so for the brushes, I have 2 flats and 3 rounds. Um, 2 of these rounds are these fusion brushes. And I really like these brushes. They came in a set. I really want to look for the fusion flats, but every time I look, they're sold out. And then I have these flats. So for the fusion, I'm using a 5 and I'm using a 4. And then I have this brush. It's a size 8. And this was one that I got from the art supply store. And then I have these 2 flats, which are Transin, and I got these on Amazon. Well, and I got these on Amazon too. So these, I love these. I love all these right here are my favorites. Now, why? Don't ask me because I don't know enough yet to know that. But okay. So I have the water. I've dripped the water in here. I think what I want to do, I have my sketch and I also have this. This is what I mix and I call it mother. It's a technique that I learned in this one class and I really like it. It's where you sort of, I don't know, where you mix up like a neutral color and you use some of that neutral color in all of your colors so that it sort of gives your piece a sense of cohesiveness is the way I would say it. Don't quote me on that because um I don't really know. Okay, so what I'm going to do. Listen, I just decided. Okay, I'm going to mix my yellows. I'm going to just use this as my basis of what I'm doing. I'm going to mix my yellows because when I mix these yellows together, it made this really pretty, like shimmery thing. So what I do is I use the flat brush to pick it up and I'm just putting it like this at the bottom. And um oh, I put it in the wrong one. Oh, Dana. I try to keep my clean water clean, but sometimes I don't do a good job. And then I just add a little bit of water and I sort of use it as an opportunity to clean the brush, and I just drop that extra water and clean the brush goo into my mother container. Okay, so what else? I forgot where I left off. I'm so sorry, y'all. I cannot talk and do stuff at the same time. I'm going to now put this clean brush, this cleanish brush, into the. I did the light yellow, but I'm not. I'm gonna do this one that is like it's called yellow ochre. This one reminds me of like a almost like a brown, but it's not. And I'm gonna mix that with the yellow. So it'll sort of give me like a warm yellow, not all the way mustardy, but I find that it just makes a really great mixing color. I hope I did it right. Cause when I did it yesterday, man, it just shimmered. And it was like, again, like it was dancing. And so what I end up doing is sort of making what's like a little paste. I can't show you because now it's liquidy. And what I'm going to do is I'm thinking aloud. I'm going to only put in this flour every other like petal so that I have a place to mix and sort of water it down. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I put those two yellows. I'm going to put that last yellow just because I don't know which one of these yellows made it shimmer and I want it to dance. So, so what I end up doing, because I don't remember where I left off, is having a day of art and or painting. And then what I did while my backgrounds were drying was I went over to my studio and I worked on my rag quilt. Y'all, I I piece, I'm saying it loosely. I what I did was I had to go through all of them and put X's across them. So I did all of them and I sort of set it up so that I could lay it out. My design board will not support me putting them up on the wall because they're way too heavy. It's flannel, batting, and the front. And I had X's on it. And so what I end up doing is just winging it, honestly, just lightly winging it. And so I did all of that, and then so I have all of my blocks, and now I'm prepped to be able um, to start sewing them. Okay. Whenever I'm kind of clean it, I'll wipe it off on my little thing. Okay, so I'm going to do the yellow. I'm going to do the color on here. It's called Viridian just because it looks so pretty in the thing. I'm going to do Viridian. And I like to make this, if I can, enough, hopefully, that I don't have to re-wet my paints. Who knows? I don't know if it makes a difference because no one has ever said it. Um, the wetting and the drying and the wetting and the drying. So I'm just gonna do the best that I can. All right, I have the Viridian. And then I'm gonna do I think I want to do this other teal. The teal and the purple in this palette are so rich and deep that oh man, I love them. But I mean, the painting would be it'll be way too dark. Okay, this other one is called Turquoise Green Deep. I'm gonna do that one. And this one is super dark, but I love it. And then I think I'm going to do, turquoise. And I think instead of doing purple, I'm going to do indigo. This says it's indigo, but it looks like a really, really rich navy blue. Um, and every time, like when I'm sort of cleaning off that excess, I'm sort of putting it in this little mix that turns out where it kind of honestly looks a little bit like mud. But for some reason, when you actually paint it on the thing, it looks really pretty. It looks weird in here, but I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm learning to appreciate it. So I did that. I prepped the rest of the rag quilt. The last part that I didn't pre-prep and I did it towards the end is I needed to make half blocks. I can't remember what the YouTuber's name is. And if I remember when it's time for me to actually put that blog up, she did a rag quilt. And what she did was, I said, I'm going to do turquoise and I'm going to do indigo. Turquoise and indigo. Okay. Oh no, I don't have enough space for both. Uh, what she did was she put half blocks on the ends of her like every other row, I think. No, it had to be on each end so that the quilt ended up the same size. But what she did was she put half blocks so that you didn't have those huge seam joins, because when you are doing the rag quilt, you essentially, when you are sewing those together, you have 6 layers. You have the backing, you have the batting, and you have the top. And when you're sewing it together, you're doing that for, um, you're sewing 2 pieces together. So it makes it so that it will be extremely thick when you have those intersections. And so this color today, it made this rich, rich green. I feel like I want to put a little bit of black to make this green a dark green. Black scares me, but man, it always If you learn how to put just the right amount, because I don't know color blending really well. I'm getting better, but it's one of those things that I really want to get better at. Okay. You can't see it, but I have like, can you see that? Oh, you can. Let me move my finger. I'm trying to do it so it doesn't spill. I have the turquoise, I have the turquoise green, I have the a mixture of the yellows, and I have Viridian. And I really want to have that darker color. Oh, 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 I have a dark. Oh no, my finger went in that color. Daggone it. There we go. I have a turquoise that I use for another painting. I'm gonna use that because that's deep. Oh, this is what happens when you spray everything. Okay, there we go. Okay, I have a few minutes. I'm gonna try to paint a couple. Um, I'm gonna paint with the round. If it feels like it's too hard, I'm gonna transfer back to the flat. I find that I really like the flat, that I'm able to control it a little bit better. So we'll see. I'm gonna use the Fusion. This is a bigger brush, but I find that this point does beautifully. So I'm gonna try it with this one. If it turns out to be too big, I'll go to the smaller one. Um, okay. Oh, I'm nervous. Okay. I'm gonna start. I need to put a little bit of water in this one. I probably did a little more than a little. Okay, I'm so nervous. I'm nervous with this. This brush may be a little too big. I think it's a little too big. We're about to find out. Let me see. I'm going to do a small one. Um, so I prepped everything, and then I prepped for finishing. I think overall, this is going to be a really nice quilt. I think my husband is going to absolutely love it. And it will mean that I am finishing all of my like honeydew quilts, like all the ones or all of the projects that I wanted to finish for him that I've been working on. This is a little bit too grainy. And I think it's because of that, pencil, so we're gonna find out. Imma just let it roll. I'll I won't be able to show you. What I'm gonna start doing too, whenever I have something that I'm working on and I don't finish it, I'm gonna start posting it as a, ooh, y'all, Imma do something. Imma start posting it as a picture post in YouTube, so you can see what it looks like, from the top down. Uh, that's not bad. Okay. So, I'll be finishing all of his. I finished his, I need to do a picture. I finished his, Kawandi with you all last week. I think this brush is too big. I finished it and gave it to him. He loves it. I've seen him with it so many times, and I need to take a picture. And then once I finish this, I'm gonna try this one. I don't know why. I feel like this one doesn't behave as well as the other one, but I feel like it's almost too small. Like there should be a brush in between. This is a size 3, and I think that's a size 4. No, it's a 5. So that means I have a 4 in there somewhere. I'm gonna try this one. It's a 4. And so once I finish his rag quilt, I'll be done with my honeydews. The other thing, I don't know. I was like, My brain was thinking, "Wait, what do I wanna do next?" Um, the other thing that I did this week is I made an order for some fabric. Y'all, listen, I know I said I wasn't gonna be doing any fabric orders, but if you saw my most recent unboxing, then you know that I just opened and unboxed a yeah, I don't know if I like using this on this paper. That's what I'm just realizing. That whenever I used this before, I used a different kind of paper. I used the B paper. I didn't use the paper in here. So I'm just gonna have to accept that this is a little bit more like noticeable than when I did it before. Or it could be because I did a super thick line, so that could have been my fault too. So anyways, I did an order because when I did that Missouri Star, kit for the, I'm gonna sop up some of this, um, for the crazy quilt, I realized I don't have a lot of, um hold on. Well, it's kind of working. I'm gonna try and see what happens when I just do just straight water. I don't have a lot of large cuts. So, and their kit had a bunch of other fabric types that I didn't want because you can't control that. It wasn't all cotton. At least that's my understanding. And so I decided that or I wanted to maybe find some other cuts that was still scrappy. And I remembered that I had a scrappy sort of bundle that I had from, it's called Brooklyn. What is it called? I think it's called Brooklyn Fabrics. And I remembered having a set from her that I liked. So I'm just sort of mixing a little bit, these colors a little bit together and seeing what I get. And what I did is I went back to her site and I looked for that bundle again and I found it. So when I get it, I'll definitely do an unboxing. And I wanted a bundle that was an end of bolt bundle because when you get an end of bolt bundle, you can't, well, for this one, and most of them are like this, you can't pick what you get, but it's usually cheaper per yard overall than if you bought individual yards and it's random. So it's perfect for you doing something scrappy. But the other part of it is remembering that it is an end of bolt. So you usually get the width of fabric. And that's what I wanted. I wanted long cuts. Now I have to be prepared that you don't get to pick it. So it might be colors that I wouldn't pick, but I mean, that's gonna be one of those moments. It is what it is. Okay, I'm gonna just check and see how everything is holding up. It's doing good and it's not bleeding, but I want to put a piece of paper between. Okay, and so that's what I did this week. Just really honestly, just preparing myself for being able to start that crazy quilt and having some larger cuts that I can use. And I'm hoping that it gets here pretty fast. It did last time, and I already got the shipping notification. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm realizing I don't think I'm loading this good enough because it's going fast. Either that or this paper is just like drinking it up. It could be a little bit of both. I'm just going to make sure I do a good job of loading because I think I'm not doing that. Okay. And so, oh, this is so pretty. I'm just preparing. And so since I know I have that coming, this means that I'm going to start piecing together and creating my um this Stabilo pen made this look really, really gritty. That's my fault. But I think it's going to be pretty in the end. So I'm just going to have to trust the process or just know not to do that again. I'm going around it with a little bit of water and sort of like use it like a design choice. I just love the way it looks though. It's almost like you gotta take the good with the bad. I'm gonna put just a little bit. See what happens if I put just a tiny bit of yellow. So, what else? I think that's it. I'm gonna do one more before I close out. Um, so yeah, let me know whatever you worked on this week. I feel like overall, even with it being an extremely busy week, that I did some pretty significant progress on my projects. On my painting, I attended my class. Um, I ooh, I just love it. I am almost ready to start sewing together that rag quilt. Um, I made some great progress on my writing. Even though I wasn't planning to write today, that always shows me when everything is rolling, when I just cannot help but to write. Like I just have to sit down and do it. So that happened several times this week. Um, and this is so pretty. I feel like these colors look almost a little too similar, but it's what I have. I mean, it's what I picked, so I can't blame nobody but myself. What I'm doing is sort of starting to tap some of the other colors in to sort of play with the whole possibility of having a gradient. Try not to put too much water though. And so, yeah, I think overall it was a very, very successful week. Y'all, and I'm here and I'm doing this live. Listen, because I was like, I'm tired. And after this, I'm a probably like do a couple more of these. No, I'm not. Once I finish, I'm going to um I'm gonna probably go read. And then I have a new book I need to I'm gonna start. I finished two books this week. Um and both of those were good. I've been reading this six-part series. And so now and I've read book 1 in the series 3 times. I've read it 3 times, and, now I'm finally getting it to the rest of the books in the series. So I finished book well, actually, I have, like, 30 more minutes in the audiobook for book 3, and, ooh, Well, no, I know. I'm not gonna use this again, not for these kind of paintings because it is just super dark. It is super dark. And the little bits are sort of like the I guess, like, graphite is sort of, like, wiggling over into the paint, and I don't like that part. So, you live and learn. I'm gonna mix a little bit of this yellow with a little bit of this teal to try to get me a nice little green. And then I'm gonna mix just a little bit. And so that was my week. This is gonna be the last one that I do before we sign out. Um, I hope that you've had a great week. I hope that you're able to sit and craft, even if it's just for a few minutes. Um, I'm hoping to go back and doing hand stitching when we come back together next week because um, this will be a great time to have an hour to hand stitch because it takes so long to sort of get everything up and going. Having that time is very, very helpful. Okay. I should have put something. I found this out yesterday. When I do these colors, there's something in me that wants like an orange or uh, a coral or something to offset all of this green. And I think I want it again today. I'm going to do the burnt sienna and a cadmium something. I think it's cadmium scarlet. Hopefully, they're still a little bit wet to be able to one, two, three, four, five. It's not fully wet. I'm just going to do a little bit and see if it'll give me that pop that I want. But if I do a mix it with a red, it usually makes it nice and what red did I say? This one. And make it like an orange. Yeah, I don't know color blending very well, but this should get me going. Oh, it's pretty though. It's like a burnt red, not quite orange, but not quite a red or brown. I'm gonna see how this one looks. And so that is it for Dana's fun hobby adventures that I did a little bit of everything that I love this week. And and I finished. I guess I could say that too. And I finished. I finished the Kwandi. I need to not double dip after I touch that black. That's what I do know. I finished that Kwandi. I'm almost able to start sewing again on the rag. Oh yeah, that's what I needed. It just needed like a little bit to offset all of the green. Let me show you. See, I literally only have three more little things on here to do, but I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna let it dry and see how it looks once it's dry. I may do another pass, but here's what I've done. Y'all, since it's quiet, I'm gonna do the two more. I have this really, really rich teal. I can't remember one of my classes. I mixed up too much and then decided I would use it as a base for something else. And then voila, here we are. Oh, it's super dark though. It's super dark. Well, I guess I kind of knew that, but it's super dark. Here we go. I'm going to just thin it out with some water. Yeah. One of the things that popped up this week that I found so interesting when I took that, ooh, that's a pretty. When I took that other class, it was realizing how much I've learned. I'm actually going to do this last one, or no, I have two more. I was going to say, I'm going to do this with just the mother color. Um, I realized that when I went to do certain things, how much, like, how do I say this? I gauge how well I'm able to fix when I mess up. Um, as a, I use that to gauge how well I know that particular craft. When you know how to get yourself out of a pickle, you are starting to really learn that particular thing. And I find that it works for that saying it works for anything, whether it's look, paper craft, painting, quilting, it doesn't matter. Ooh, this is coming together. Okay, I have one more. I think I'm gonna mix a little bit of um, that new orangey with the yellow a little bit and see if it'll let's see what I get. Because I don't want it to be exactly like the other one. And knowing how to fix stuff for myself it just shows me how much I've picked up. Like that I don't freak out, you know? And I don't freak out often. I'm pretty chill, but doing some crafts, it's just easy to mess it up and your confidence is still fragile. It's still super fragile. Yeah, this dark really affects everything. It sort of made all of it dark. But what it makes me think is I think this would be so pretty if I came back and did like a brighter color of like either not watercolors, but maybe colored pencil or maybe even watercolor pencils. This is what I have so far. It looks really good on paper though. It's done well. Some of this paper, this is this when I made this journal, this paper is handmade and all of the texture is not exactly the same. So it's one of those things where it's like, it kind of sucks a little bit, but you can't control it. And that's the part that makes it pretty. So it's like, what do you do other than roll with it? So with that said, y'all, I'm out. I hope that you have a fantastic week. Hey, how's it going? I hope that you all have a fantastic week. Um, if you have a long weekend, that you are able to enjoy it. Um, ooh, I'm a lefty and it is bleeding. I do crochet. If you look at some of my previous videos, I started with crochet. Um, I crochet, I knit, and I quilt. And right now, I'm painting. My crochet blanket that I'm working on right now is so big that I literally have to like it's almost done. It's a granny square blanket with the granny square on point, and I'm at the point now where I'm working on the corners. And so it's yeah. Okay. So with that said, y'all, your girl is about to bounce. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to leave and thumbs up the video. Leave a comment. Let me know what you are working on. And I I believe look out on my channel. I believe we'll be here again next Sunday. Um, I know I have a speaking engagement coming up. I don't remember if it's next week or the week after, but you'll know based on my channel. I'm gonna try my best to still, even if it's just that I have to hand work on something, um, that I just take with me. Um, ooh, I don't know if I like this paper. I think it's the paper. The other paper that I use, I really notice the difference when I use others. And man, paper and your paints quality, I think it makes a huge difference in how stuff looks. But you can't fully tell until it dries, at least to me. So, yeah. So with that said, your girl is out. Everyone, have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for joining me. This replay will be up as soon as it processes. And I do have a video up new this week with my unboxing um, for the Missouri Star um, Crazy Quilt kit embroidery. Oh, I messed that up. I cannot go fast. Ooh. Y'all look how pretty this is. Okay, let me see if I can hold this up before we leave. It's gonna be pretty. I do know that this paper, I gotta test out this paper and see which paints really work well with it, but it's still drying. So there's that. I'm gonna let it dry a little and I'll work on it some more this week. So take care. And as always, I was gonna say happy writing. Wrong channel. Take care, and I'll talk to y'all hopefully sooner than later. Goodbye.